Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the Y-MSF Kumonga. It is one of the very few realistic Kumongas released in the 6-inch scale. And it does fetch a high price tag. So let's see whether or not this somewhat elusive release is worth adding into your collection. The sculpt of the Y-MSF Kumonga is very, very nice, and it's probably the closest you're going to get to the actual prop marionette that was used in the movies. As you can see, it pretty much looks like Kumonga. Attention to detail is placed right around here by the mouth. You can see all of the little sculpted hair, the fur. You can see little wrinkles here where the legs connect, and the pieces of vinyl, which really is a nice throwback to the actual source material. Little ridges and sculpting on the underbelly, the underside of the legs. Nice texturing. On the top of Kumonga here, very, very nice. There's really no complaints about the sculpt, and I'm a big fan of it. The paint, pretty much perfect. Once again, if you look at the eyes of the figure, right there, there's really no paint bleed at all, and the red is kept on the little bumps that are sculpted for the eyes. As you can see, there's a nice use of this yellow-green here throughout Kumonga, and the base blackish color looks absolutely stunning. Really, in terms of the overall quality of what we're looking at, Kumonga takes a cake. It's one of the, if not possibly the only, most accurate 6-inch scale Kumongas to the actual source material. Now, in terms of the actual materials used to make this, a bit disappointing. As you can kind of see here, the vinyl, it doesn't sit properly over time. It'll warp. And it's made of a very thin vinyl. And this kind of leads to a major pain that some Y-MSF figures are known for. If you can see in the back here, let me move my lighting source over, you can see a little line on this leg, right where it connects to the separate piece of vinyl that actually moves. It'll focus in there. There we go. Yeah, Kumonga has just been sitting in a drawer for the past 2 or 3 months, and sure enough, the vinyl on it broke for no reason at all. Yeah. And this little front spike here, coming out of the mouth, it's a toothpick, painted black. Talk about quality. So, in terms of the actual materials that are used for the figure, not that great. In terms of looking at it, the sculpt and the paint, it's absolutely stunning. Vinyl figures typically don't focus on articulation, and there usually aren't too many points, just basic swivel parts. Well, same thing here for Kumonga. Each leg has a separate attachment onto it, and it swivels. So you can put Kumonga in any pose that you would like with the legs. Very basic. Pretty much to be expected. So you can get some fun poses out of it, but if you're looking for posability, obviously this is not something that you're looking for. But what's there? It's pretty cool for a vinyl figure. One of the perks of the Y-MSF figure line is that, generally speaking, all of the kaiju that are released are on the 6-inch scale. So if you have a Bandai collection and you want to add in a representation that Bandai has not covered, Y-MSF generally can be one of the go-to sources for your kaiju. So as an example of what a collector would have, here is an example of the first Godzilla from Bandai America. Pretty good sizing. Here is Destroya from Bandai Japan. Destroya is pretty small, but it is a popular figure in a lot of collections, so it's there for sizing, for a good benchmark. And also, Y-MSF figures tend to go in really well with the SH Monster Arts line. I'd say that is a good sizing between Kumonga and Godzilla 94. And finally, here is the Revoltech Baragon next to Kumonga. Not exactly 6 inches, but I think Kumonga is one of the rather largest Showa monsters, and I think that this fits in well, personally, the way I interpret Kumonga, with the rest of the Showa figures that may exist that are in a smaller scale. So overall, if you're looking for a good-sized 6-inch scale Kumonga, I really don't think that you could go wrong with selecting this as a general put it on the shelf and leave it there figure. So, should you pick up Kumonga now? Maybe wait for a sale? Skip on it entirely? Unfortunately, the Y-MSF line, it's pretty good, for the most part, when you're talking about, say, a display piece where you're just looking at it. But in terms of the actual quality of the figure, not worth the 50-some price tag that you see these going for on, say, eBay or even some other stores. Yeah, it feels cheap, and unfortunately, I was in love with this thing until I realized there was a break in the vinyl. I mean, what's up with that? That shouldn't happen. So, for me personally, I like it. If you need a realistic, very accurate to the source material Kumonga, the Y-MSF in the 6-inch scale, it's your best go-to bet. I don't think Bandai's done anything. I don't think there's any competitor companies that have done anything. I think this is your only option. Unless you absolutely have to have a Kumonga now, I would say skip on it. Wait until maybe something else comes down the line from another company, or go for the extremely large scale with X+. I would only recommend this if you need to get a Kumonga figure now, and if you don't mind that the actual materials used to make this feel pretty cheap. It's sad to say because it looks absolutely fantastic, but unfortunately in terms of the actual build of it and what it's made of, it does fall short. Very, very short. But it is beautiful.